And hey, it's Thursday. We weren't here yesterday, but we're back. It's Litvak Leadership Live, and I'm here with my special guest today, Jodi Van Leer, the CEO and founder of J. Van Leer Designs. How are you, Jodi?
Hi, I'm good. How are you today?
I am having a great day. You know, I am so excited to talk to you because one, I am not an art or artsy or let's draw a picture or make things match other than a sport coat and a shirt kind of guy. Um, and we're all working from home.
hmm
And now home, like I had done, posted in the comments, and here, let me throw up a banner so people know where to find you. Um, Home is where you work. Home is where you sleep. Home is where you eat, unless you're at Annie's Pizza in Louisville picking up carry out from Kenny Mayberry.
There you go.
Um, and home is where so much goes on now. And, you know, we'll talk about what you want to talk about. But what I want to talk about first is how do we separate yet be productive?
Yeah, it's been a challenge. The challenge of the time that we're sitting in right now is creating those zones so that you don't feel like you're sitting in the same place all day long. Part of that, though, is trying to get outdoors as much as possible. That's where we really need to try to get. You can only do so much separation in four walls, right? Um,
Yeah.
hey, Bruce. But yeah, it's getting outside, get the sunlight, and get the fresh air. But when we're doing school and we're doing work and all those things, it's creating zones in which we have all the things to function. So it doesn't have to be a large space, but having your own desk, having your own lighting, hopefully some natural light within your space, making sure that you have plenty of storage within that space is super critical to being able to focus and have inspiration around you in order to have a productive day, whether you're doing schoolwork or you're working from home. We've had quite a few people connect with us as far as updating their office space. I personally had to set up 2 school spaces in my home and
Oh,
update
yeah.
my office and my husband's office so that we can be functional for this time that we've been sitting in.
So I've got my command. So I had an office. I've worked from home before the pandemic began. Although I work for an organization, I'm in sales, and we work remotely and then go out to see people since it's janitorial sales. And I've got my command center here with 3 screens, including the laptop. I've got a beautiful window to look outside, and I recently got rid of the room darkening blinds, and
Yeah,
then I got these beautiful to match the rest of them in the house because they were back ordered forever. Light filtering
right.
wall coverings that, like, how, and I'm not gonna pick up the camera, although you'll probably know what I mean. It's like it's like white, and then there's nothing, and then it's white, and then there's nothing. So when you roll them up and down, you can allegedly control the amount of light, but they're not room darkening.
Right, right,
It, and I realized that this side of my face and the first half of the day, it's like bright.
right.
So how do people, um, you know, I'm staring at these walls all day long. I mean, do you encourage, changing things up, changing the wall coverings on a periodic basis? Not so much the wallpaper and the paint, but like the pictures, the art. How do we keep ourselves creative when we're in the same space all the time?
Yeah, I mean, seasonally you can change things up. Don't forget that you can decorate your space just as much as you can decorate your front room or your family room. So like right now we're in the holidays, go ahead and put like a Christmas tree, or even in the fall you could have put, fall decorations in your space to just remind you of like the seasons that we're in, because I feel like the seasons have all blurred together this year.
They have.
But it doesn't, you don't have to go all out, but have something little, changing out your family pictures if you have them on your desk, or inspirational pictures that you have on the wall, taking those and switching them out occasionally. But I think if you design a space and it's meant for you, that you put the elements that you are really drawn to in that space, then it doesn't get as stale as, say, when you worked in an office and you had a cubicle and everybody's cubicle was supposed to be the same, right? even within that, you were bringing in personal pieces and things like that in order to make it feel a little bit more homey. And we should definitely be doing that as we're sitting in our homes, having to work and eat and sleep and play and do all the things in one space. So it's important to just know the things that inspire you and bring those things into your space.
So what kind of, for the non-creatives, what kind of things might inspire people, whether it be in their offices or in their homes, that we don't necessarily think about? What are some of the inspirational trends out there that you would recommend?
A lot of people, it's it's very personal. I would say interior design in general is a very personal thing. And so that's going to be different for everybody. What is inspirational to me may not be inspirational to you. So, but nature, bringing nature in, and maybe that's a picture of a place that you went to visit on vacation, let's say, having that, taking that, blowing it up, putting it in a frame, that may be very inspirational. Or places you want to go now that we're not traveling as much. Maybe you aspire. Maybe why are you sitting at that desk all day doing what you're doing, so that you can get to that destination that you have on the wall. So maybe it's an inspiration thing, as far as a place that you want to get to. Sometimes it's just having a clean, neat, organized space can be very inspiring because you don't have distraction. So you're able to concentrate on the task at hand, and you can get things done more efficiently. And that can just give you, energy to get through the day. It's very personal. That one's a hard one because it really depends on the person and how they function in their lives as a whole.
So my wife is an oil painting artist, and she ended up moving her studio from one of the spare bedrooms upstairs into our sunroom that we didn't normally use in the winter, but we have a large dog that we got a year ago, and she needs to be near the dog, and the dog needs to be near her. So she's got this beautiful studio now where we've converted this room. And when I say converted, it means we've moved all her stuff in there and put throw rugs down over the carpeting, since she's using oil paint.
Right.
She's got all this natural light, and things like that. How can people use lighting and natural light to change things up, to invigorate them?
So sometimes it's the color of the lighting that we're using. Within the lighting is really important in interior design. It can change the feel of a space, instantly. Changing one light bulb can change the color of your paint. It can change how you feel in a space. And that's because within the color spectrum of lighting, you can go from very blue colors to very warm colors and light in between that. So sometimes if maybe in the winter you change it to a warmer light that feels more like the sun, versus having a blue light that it can feel cooler. So sometimes it's changing the color of your light, meaning not like purple or blue for the holidays, but whether it's a blue light, a cool light, or a warm light. And then obviously getting as much natural light in as you possibly can in a space. Obviously, we want the vitamin D, or that's just as a human thing. And so having as much possible natural light into a space that you can get, like you said, changing out your shades from room darkening to something that filters light in, so you don't get harsh shadows and things when we're doing things like this, but you are getting the natural light in to just have that feeling of like, today it's daytime now and it's going to get dark. We have to, as humans, have that transition. So I always recommend trying to get as much natural light into a space as you can. The other thing would be layering your light. So you have overhead light, you have light in the front, you have light on your desk. You can layer your different levels of light, because we're sitting in front of a monitor that's bright in your face all day long.
Okay.
We want to have different layers of light that we can turn on and off depending on how we're, what time of day it is, what light's coming in, that natural light that is or is not coming in on a cloudy day. So you want to have different layers of light too, so that you're you can see things well. And
I've never heard anyone refer to light as layers. I mean, I know how you can layer paper, you can layer cloth material and clothing, but so you're saying you can layer light and it won't all wash out.
Right. So I think in good design in interior space in general, it's always good to have different layers of light. So we do different things within a space. Let's say a kitchen. So you have overhead light, right? And sometimes we're layering that lighting, and then we have can lighting, then we have fixture lighting, then we have under cabinet lighting, then we have okay, right? So you have task lighting. That's almost like everything's on, right? You're doing something, you're cooking, every light in that kitchen is going to be on because you're trying to, you want to function, you want to see things well. But if you're just in the kitchen and it's nighttime, maybe you only have your under cabinet lights on, and that's just purely to see in there to be able to go get a glass of water, right?
Right.
Or if you're having a dinner party and it's connected to your dining room, maybe you just have the pendant lighting on, which is your ambient lighting, just to have the lights on. It's your cool filtered lighting with your glass fixtures or whatever that may be. And you have just that light on to create an effect, a feel within the space. And that's what I mean by layering your lighting. You have different tasks within your space. And so you want to have lighting that is appropriate for whatever task it is that you're doing.
So what drew you into interior design? Were you the kid that sat there drawing pictures of houses, and when you were homesick, you like pulled out the markers and started drawing on the walls? And
not quite that bad, but I've always been a really artistic person. I did sit around as a kid drawing pictures of my own hand and my feet and the plant across the room. I've always been a crafty person. I think I started stitching, like hand making Barbie clothes before I was probably even supposed to have a needle. But the interior design probably was a little bit inspired by my mom. We didn't have a whole lot of money when I was a kid, but she loved changing the furniture around, and so we couldn't go buy new stuff. But she would move, just get up one Saturday morning and the whole living room would be rearranged because she was just tired of how it was, and we couldn't buy more, but we could change what we had. And
sure.
So it kind of just inspired me to see you can make a room feel differently just by rearranging the things that you already have. We sometimes think that in order to revamp a room, you have to just take it all out and start over.
Right.
But that's not necessarily true. It could feel off just because it's off. You have a piece that's too big or a piece that's too small, or the flow isn't right within that space. And if you just shift things, it can change everything about how the room feels. Part of what I do in my business is to emphasize that you can create a space that feels like you and functions for you within a budget. Everybody has a budget.
Everybody's got a budget.
Changes, but everybody has a budget. I don't care how much money you make, you still have a budget. So it's all about creating a new space within that budget. I'm very budget conscious. I have grown up that way, and our family right now is very budget conscious on everything that we do. And I know that people get very overwhelmed with the idea of doing a redesign or a model because they see dollar signs and they don't know where to begin, and they don't know a process in order to get them from point A to point B. They know that they want this end result, but they just don't know how to get there. And when you don't have a plan or a budget in mind, and you don't have a way to get to that, we end up wasting money because we do things we think that is going to work, and then we find out it doesn't. We have to start over again, or we get so far, we get frustrated, and we give up.
So what are your thoughts on, and to me, these are both great and horrible things, the mini cans of paint where you can get a color sample. I mean, you'll notice behind me that there is a dark wall. Whoops, no, this hand. Dark wall and a light wall.
Right.
Well, 3 of the walls are the light wall. 1 wall is the dark wall. To get the dark wall color, I don't know how many mini cans of paint my wife bought and would paint some of it, and then we'd look, and then we'd paint another one, and we'd look. At one point, it looked like I had a rainbow zebra in here.
Yeah.
We were trying to figure out which color. So do you think that is something that has helped people, or do you think it just confuses people to have so many options like that?
It depends on the people. Some people are completely overwhelmed by the plethora. When you say, I want a blue wall, well, there's, 800,000 different colors of blue.
Yeah.
And I think that without the knowledge of knowing that every single color has a primary color undertone to it, there's red, there's yellow, there's blue, there's green, all within the blue spectrum, right? And if you don't realize what's under your blue color that you have, that's where people get mixed up. They're trying to blend colors that aren't playing well together, is what I like to call it. And so that's where people get into trouble with not being able to settle on a color that looks right within their space. Also, the lighting, going back to lighting, what
Sure.
light bulb you have in your light fixtures will change the color on your wall. So that's what people pick
Well, that
up
brings up a question.
and then they don't work at home.
So my light fixture, because I have a ceiling fan in here, because I like a little bit of a breeze, sometimes.
Right.
But so many of the ceiling fans now have like an LED chip in there.
Mm-hmm.
How do you change the color if you don't like the color once you get the whole thing up? Because it's not like there's a bulb to change.
So, well, that's the research ahead of time. That's partially why people hire me.
Okay.
There are light fixtures where you can change the color of the light. The fan that I just put in this office has warm light or cool light. I can change the tone of the light. So if that's a factor for you, that's something that you would want to research ahead of time before buying the fixture, because there are fixtures out there nowadays that will give you the option of having warm light or cool light, depending on your environment.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I think that's part of what I do, is help people really dig deep into what it is they're trying to achieve and how they're going to use the space. It's not just about the pretty stuff, which is important, but it's also about how you function in the space. So it's really very personal. And so I ask a lot of questions of my clients as to what they're really looking to get out of the space.
Like what?
Well,
like
so
what kind of questions?
of an office. How do you function within your office? What kind of lighting do you need to use? In your case, you're doing live, so you need a lot of light because you don't want casting funky shadows. You don't, that type of thing. Organization. How much paperwork do you shuffle around in a day? How big of a desk surface do you need to have? What kind of organization do you need to have? Do you have a bunch of books? Do you have a bunch of filing cabinets? Do you, so it's digging into, it's pretty personal. I get pretty personal with my clients, but that's the only way that I can really serve you best. It's to get to know who you are and how you use your space. In a front room, a family room, how many people are going to be in your family room? Do you lay around or do you sit? Do you have dogs? Do you have cats? Do you, do you have romper room because you have 3-year-olds, or do you have a bunch of teenagers? All of those things are very important as far as to how you function in your space and how I can best make suggestions on how we update the space, whether it's using what you currently have or adding in new pieces. It's really important to have all of those things because not everybody ticks the same. Some people are very minimal. They don't want a bunch of stuff. They've gotten rid of stuff. They're good. Some people have a lot of stuff. And if you need a lot of storage to put that stuff so that you can feel more clean and cleared up, then we need to do that. Because if that stuff is stuff you use in that space, great. Let's use the stuff in the space, but let's clean it up. And how do we do that? Organization. But I need to know what you're using in that space in order to be able to provide that for you.
So what about the people who are saying, gosh, I want to go on vacation, but, there's the pandemic, there's who knows what's happening with the economy. I think the economy's good, but I'm not, Steve Mnuchin.
Right.
So what can people do at home to, make it more of a vacation place for themselves temporarily?
A lot of people have been updating their master bedrooms, cleaning it up. I think as parents, a lot of times that's the last place that gets updated. We have a family room, we update the front room, the kids get a new bedroom, we get a new playroom, we get a new entertainment area, and then the last place that gets done is the master bedroom, right? So whether if you've got 20-year-old furniture, 30-year-old furniture, the stuff you started off with when you got married,
Right.
Maybe it's time to update that, or clean up the space, brighten it up, give it a new paint color, just make it feel more like one of your favorite hotels, maybe, splurge a little on some nice bed linens. I've heard it said it's the first thing you see when you get up in the morning and the last thing you see when you go to bed.
Interesting.
So shouldn't that be a place that you want to be in, right? It starts off your day and it ends your day. But I think that a lot of us neglect that. So as adults, maybe that's a place that we look into. If you happen to have a basement and you don't have everything cluttered and full of storage, can you take that space and maybe add in something that's a family area? Can you add in a little gaming area, or can you reorganize a space where you can come together and play air hockey or something? It's looking at those places that we've kind of neglected for a little bit and saying, can we reorganize or can we restructure this space and add in a place that we can kind of retreat to? That's not our bedrooms. It's not the family room.
Right.
It's another place that we can kind of go to as we're getting into the winter months that is separate. That is a fun area.
Speaking of winter, Kenny Mayberry from Annie's Pizza in Louisville, Kentucky, Louisville's best pizza, in case you didn't know, wants to know about colors and lighting because the time change and people getting depressed from lack of sunlight. Because I truly think the reason Valentine's Day is in February is because people are so depressed with winter. Come February, they need a reason to force themselves to at least feign happiness. So what do people do, like Kenny said, for color and light and the time change? And oh my God, it's just terrible. How do we make it good?
There are lights that you can purchase that help with that. You have to research them a little bit. It's not something that I've dug super deep into, but there are lights that you can install or purchase that will help with giving you that extra, vitamin D that we need. You have to look at this specific light for it because there are certain restrictions on how close you have to be to it, how much time you have to spend under it, all of those types of things. But if that's something that you're really struggling with, I would definitely look into that. But I think getting as much daylight as you can while it's light out is super important. So open up those blinds, during the daytime in the winter, because we really need to get that daylight time. That get out if you can. Now that we're working from home, can you get a little rearrangement and at least do a quick walk around the block to get some air and get some vitamin D? As far as in the house, it's just, getting yourself as close to any kind of natural light windows that you can. The color of the light within your home isn't really going to feed if you're really having a depression with the winter months. There's not a special light bulb I can recommend to say this is going to help cure your winter blues. It's really about just bringing the light into your house, getting as much natural light as you possibly can to just absorb what you can for the winter. Luckily, it's not super long here.
Yeah, well, exactly. I mean, today in Louisville, it's supposed to be 61. I went outside like this to get the mail, so it was just a beautiful thing.
Yeah, it's 55 here, so I was out. I took a long walk today.
Cool. So what about for the holidays? Hanukkah starts tonight. Christmas is in 15 days. What are some of the I'm at home pandemic interior design for the holiday trends?
Gosh, people.
Don't you love these questions?
Yeah, gosh, these are tough ones. So a lot of people are expanding their decorating. So normally people are just doing the family room, right? They just put up a tree, they're good to go. But now that we're all home, I've seen a lot more people, like we had mentioned, doing home offices. So they're adding a tree in the home office. They're putting lights in their window. They're expanding it into their bedroom. I've seen lots of trees in people's bedrooms this year. More lighting outside, I think. People are just doing more. People are just doing more to try and get themselves into the feel of the holidays.
So what are your thoughts on textured walls? Or really, better question, what are the new cutting edge interior design, leading edge strategies that if someone says, okay, I want to do something, you say, well, if you want to be on the leading edge, this is what you need to do.
Oh boy, the leading edge. Well, that would depend on what type of environment you are wanting. There's leading edge in modern, there's leading edge in transitional, leading edge in Scandinavian design. There's so many different aspects of design. And that's what makes design so personal, because something that I am absolutely in love with, you could absolutely hate. When we're talking about all the designers you see on HGTV and, the ones in, the Architectural Digest, you'll see so many different styles. And that's because as humans, there's so many different things we like, right? Abstract art versus modern, versus traditional old art. So it's the same with your interiors. It depends on what your style is. That seems like a really vague answer, but it's very personal.
I was going to let you get away with it, but you called yourself out, so go ahead.
It's a personal thing, because if I'm very modern, what I would call cutting edge and modern is not the same thing that I would put into a traditional home.
Okay.
Right? Traditional is very, very overdone, a little bit more heavy. Where, modern or Scandinavian is very linear, very clean, very earthy. So those are two totally different color palettes, two totally different ways of looking at the furniture, the surroundings around you, your moldings, those types of things, because one has them and one doesn't. It's in that way, it's why our industry is so niched, not only from residential, not just in like residential, commercial, hospitality, restaurant design, and all of those are specific niches within the interior design world. But then within that, there are people that specifically create homes around pets. You can do that. You can go all in and learn everything you possibly do about making your dog have like the spa bathroom of his dreams. People are adding in wash stations into their laundry rooms for the dog.
Interesting.
They have under cabinet beds for the dogs. They have so it's such a realm where it's so personal as to what is important to you. And again, that's why I ask so many questions of my clients when they're asking about changing a space. And it's really important to know how that person functions within this space and the other people involved. A big trend in kitchens is to have open shelving. And that's a specific look, right? So people are adding in these long wooden shelves, these open shelving looks, and
no doors.
No doors, just shelves, right?
No glass, no nothing, just there to collect the dust and the dirt.
And that's the thing, is if it's not a way that you function, if you can't stack up, if all your plates and bowls are not the same, and you have this mishmash collection, and you're the only person that's ever going to put the things on the shelf, that is not a design for you. And I would never recommend that. If you can't be neat and clean and minimal, that is not a design that I would say you should do. But if you are that person, go for it. It's gorgeous and it's beautiful if you are the person that can maintain it. So it's really important that you don't just try and push yourself into something that you are never going to do, because then you wasted your time, your money, your investment, because it's going to look horrible. And I don't want you coming back to me and saying, you told me to do this design because it was cutting edge.
Well, and to me,
yeah.
I mean, it's like, does everybody want to see everybody's plates like that? I mean, and their glasses and
it can be very beautiful if you are the person that loves to showcase. Maybe you have it's also very popular like in a bar area or
I get it in a bar area, but like in the kitchen,
people do it in kitchens. They'll stack their 5 bowls, all white plates, all white cups, and you stack them nice and neat on those shelves, and it can be very It can be very sleek and clean. It can look really nice, but if you can't keep that and maintain it, then there's no point in you doing that. You
These people don't have children at home.
Well, that's not true. That's not true. I've seen it in all aspects.
Okay. So shockingly, we have gone 30 minutes already. Can you believe it?
It was fast. So
it
fast.
goes super fast. So we're at the point in the show where you have the floor. I'm only going to ask you one question.
Okay.
And you go on, and this is your opportunity, Jodi. So what impression do you want to leave people with so they go, boy, that Jodi, I need to get in touch with her on her website, Instagram, or Facebook? Go.
Okay. Well, I like to tell people that I am here to help. I'm not here to take over your home and tell you what you should do. My goal is to help you become more functional in your space, to be more organized, and to fall in love with your home again. Not to tell you what colors you should put on your wall, what your new favorite color should be, that you should put cork on your wall. I'm here to help you live more comfortably within your home. Take it from being just a place that you live to a place that you dwell in, that you go to relax and re-energize and, be at home with when you're at the end of your day. You should have a special place within your home that you can go to, get away, decompress, and rejuvenate for the next day. Because in years like this, when life is crazy, we all need to have that secret little place that's just for us, that we can escape to just recenter. So in my designs, that is what I'm doing. That's why I ask all the questions that I ask, not to get all up in your business, but to help you really achieve the goals that you have for how you live and function within your space. And the great thing is that I do it within your budget. Now, it has to be a realistic budget, but we set the budget and then we break that budget down into the small bite-sized pieces if we need to, in order to get you to the goal that you really want to have and achieve in the end. Now, may that take a few steps? It might, but when you have an end goal and you have a plan and you have someone helping you and guiding you and leading you to that goal, you can make it. I promise. We get to the end of the project and you'll be super happy that you took the extra time and effort to create that plan so that you could have that space in the end.
Awesome. Thank you for being my guest, Jodi. This has been great. I feel like I've learned so much.
Good. Great. I'm glad.
And I know our viewers have learned something too, whether they're here joining us throughout or if they're going to listen to us on replay, or like I do with a lot of videos, I'll be walking the dog in the morning and I'll have YouTube in my hand. That's and I'm listening to it and kind of glancing at it, making sure the dog doesn't eat grass. So this has been Litvak Leadership Live for today. Everyone out there, you have a great day. Be blessed, and we'll be back tomorrow. Thank you again, Jodi.